We do have Saul Phillips on the phone with the aforementioned Bison,
Yes.
and I know I pronounced that correctly, of North Dakota State, who are now in the tournament officially. A very fun team to watch, a team that scores. Coach, how are you doing, and what was your first reaction upon seeing your seed and possible path?
Well, first of all, SB Nation's got more cred, street cred in Fargo than any other media outlet.
Nice.
You
Yes!
flew to Fargo to talk to us yesterday. I got all day for you, brothers. My reaction was, like it always is, you're so excited to see your name up there, and then it hit, oh, man, we got to play Oklahoma. This is going to be a challenge. But, you know, I know this. I've watched them on a limited basis. I really like their big guy inside Spangler. He's just a glue guy, and they've got some guards that can really go. It'll be all we can handle. But you know what? We're goofy enough to think that we can get some things done.
How do you feel about your team tonight? What is it that you feel confident in? What is it about your players? What are they executing particularly well right now? And what is going to be, you mentioned the bigs for Oklahoma, what is going to be job number one now that you've seen a little bit of tape, you'll continue to watch tape, and then you'll start practicing for this week?
Well, it's two really offensively efficient teams. I think they're 17th in the nation in offensive efficiency. We're somewhere right around there as well. You know, as far as what I feel good about us, you know, we're leading the nation in field goal percentage, and so that gets you off to a good start. That means you haven't had a whole lot of really, really bad nights. I don't worry about our guys shrinking in a spotlight. They're battle tested. They've been through it. They're old, wily veterans at this point. You know, you got one-and-done programs out there. We're a five-and-done program here. We redshirt a lot of kids, and we've got an old basketball team by college standards. So, you know, those are what you're hanging your hat on if you're us. And if as you look at them, again, you got guards that can really go. They push very well in transition. They've got a presence inside with Spangler. By the way, they got a Hall of Fame coach, which so much for out coaching them, that ain't going to happen. So we'll do what we can.
One of the things you just mentioned is field goal percentage and how good the Bison have been just simply putting the biscuit in the basket. One player you're particularly fond of, I know, is Marshall Bjorklund. What is it that makes him so special? What is it that makes him so efficient in scoring?
Well, he's got the softest hands and the softest touch that you'll ever see on a kid his size, and that comes directly from throwing pigs around on the farm his whole life. Literally came from a pig farm that they have, at any given time, 3,000 pigs on the farm. That's a lot of pigs. Yeah. Best pork chops I've ever had was at his home visit, and I asked him one time, I said, now, Marsh, you're raising these pigs, but you're going to kill them. You ever have one that was, you know, had a little sparkle in his eye and was really, really cute, you got attached to? And he looked at me and goes, no, that was it. So he's got an assassin's heart, too, which I guess works out pretty well.
All right, and you also have a player who I think we can consider to be a star, especially on the college level, in Taylor Braun. How important is that going into the tournament, that you have somebody that is such a dynamic scorer like Taylor and had a good game in the Summit League championship game when all was said and done? What is your confidence level in his ability playing on this bigger stage?
Well, he really struggled in our finals game against IPFW until it really mattered.
Yes.
And he was able to calm himself down. He made every big play down the stretch. The thing that Taylor's got going for him in a game like this is that athletically he can do some things that Big 12 athletes can do. A lot of times you see, players from our level that are really, really good in our league. Taylor's game translates to playing against bigger, stronger, better guys just because of some of the things he can do at 6'7". Very quick off the dribble. He shoots the lights out of it. Very good ball in hand, and he has the ability to make big plays at big time. So, yeah, I tell you what, you're never just overconfident going into a game against a Big 12 team, especially one of the caliber of Oklahoma. But I do know this: we won't shrink to the occasion. We're going to let it fly a little bit.
All right, Coach Phillips, we're going to get you out of here on this just because you mentioned the pork chops. You're staying relatively in the region with your game in Spokane. What is the night before dinner, before the Bison take on the Sooners?
Maybe we can get Marshall to sneak a pig out there. We can, have a luau or something like that, right? Get the Hawaiian shirts out, casual Friday, although it's a Thursday, so that won't work. I think that sounds like as good idea as anything. I think it's the route. I think you just figured it out for us.
There it is. Get that pork protein. Good luck, Coach, as you take on the Sooners and hopefully more and more teams after that. And hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
Hey, pork's the other white meat,
That's
just so you know. I heard that once.
That is as good a way to go out as any. And thank you very much to Coach Saul Phillips. I think we could have him on for the next hour.
I want to play basketball for him, or I want my unborn son to play basketball for him.
Fargo, between the college football season and the college basketball season, quickly becoming a college sports town.
I think they have more fun up there than we are
Oh,
led to believe.
Clearly do.
Yeah.
They clearly do. Let's take a deeper dive, though, at the rest of the West here. So we talked about North Dakota State, Oklahoma now in length. We talked about Oregon, BYU, all of the points in the world. Arizona Wildcats, a team obviously at the top of this region, a team of mixed experience. You have Aaron Gordon, the freshman, the touted freshman, playing really well on both ends of the floor. What is your feeling on the West right now?
Yeah, I watched them.
Arizona.
I probably watched every game of theirs this year. And they're a solid team. A lot of people knock them for not having a lot of depth. I think that's sort of like an overstated, argument to make. If you have a rotation of 6 or 7 players that don't get in foul trouble and can play and are conditioned
with a very good coach,
then what's the big deal?
Yes.
Their second, third, whatever we want to call it. I'm calling it the second round matchup against a potential matchup against Oklahoma State is scary. Remember, they were a team again that had a rough winter, preseason top 10. Marcus Smart, one of the best players in the country. And now they're here as a 9 seed or an 8 seed, I believe. And they're a really talented team. I mean, and they're athletic too. Every Oklahoma State team I've ever seen has been physical and they're athletic. And that will match Arizona's, personnel. So that'll be an interesting game if it happens. But I still think Arizona moves on. I think this bracket it's a pretty easy run for them, more or less, if they can get past Oklahoma State. I mean, in general, the Wildcats are a blast to watch. I love watching Nick Johnson play. I do think Brandon Ashley is a little bit of a loss.
As that glue guy forward,
He is a glue guy. Tarzewski isn't the best defender down low. I've seen him get out-muscled and scored on by other, traditional postmen.
Sure.
So that could cause a problem for them. But again, this bracket doesn't really have a lot of those players, so I think that they're going to be okay, to get to at least a regional final. Down on the other side, I think Creighton, again, I wasn't that big on Creighton. I love Dougie McBuckets.
Yes.
I mean, he is the best player in the country.
Absolutely.
Can't take
At
that
least
away.
the best pure scorer.
Yeah. I mean, he's a blast to watch. Therefore, Creighton's fun to watch. But I still don't really like their makeup, but they kind of have a decent draw here. I mean, Wisconsin's good. They could definitely lose to Wisconsin. Wisconsin isn't the best defensive team that we've seen.
And not the best recent tournament team either.
In the Bo Ryan era, this is probably the worst Wisconsin team on defense. They're more focused on offense this year in the past.
And coincidentally, though, offensively, it's one of the more dynamic offenses that Bo Ryan has had.
It is, and they are fun to watch. They run really good half-court sets. They have a lot of guys on the perimeter that can beat you. Kaminsky, their big man, can step out. Nigel Hayes, remember that name if you haven't heard it. So Aaron Kraft was the point guard that everyone hated in the Big Ten for 4 years. Nigel Hayes is going to be the power forward that everyone in the Big Ten is going to hate for the next 4 years because he's just physical. He's like a football player, but he's going to be real tough for the Badgers, and they're obviously their opponents.
Yeah, so we have San Diego State, Wisconsin. We mentioned Creighton, Baylor, sort of peaking right now as well. Baylor playing good basketball,
playing really good basketball,
and they get Nebraska ball.
They get Nebraska
They
ball.
get the wave that is Nebraska
One of
ball.
the last, I believe, if I'm correct, probably one of the last at-larges to get in. They had Ohio State where they wanted them in the Big Ten tournament and lost. Maybe they're looking at a 10 seed or something if they win that game. Not that big on Nebraska from what I've seen. They had some nice wins in the middle of the season. Kind of a good story. Not a traditional tournament team, and here they are. But I think Creighton can get past Wisconsin, play Arizona in the regional final, and then Arizona will probably advance.
And San Diego State, a team that has been deep into this tournament recently under Steve Fisher, but offensively not putting the fear of life into
real
anybody.
likable team. Love Steve Fisher. Love what they're doing down there. He's turned that program around. I mean, they're one of the most fun teams to watch. But they're always defensive first, defense first, offense second. But their offense is really bad this year. If they get behind, they're going to be in trouble.
They're not shooting their way back into games. They're not running their way back into games.
No.
All right, fair enough.